Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have an excellent game to share with you from round 5 of the 2025 FIDE World Cup. This was played today, November 15th. On the white end, Levon Aronian, playing against Arjun Erigaisi. Alright, this is game 2 of 2 classical time controls. In game 1 they drew. We have an Italian game. Bishop c5, white supports d4 and b4, knight f6, and from here d3 is played. If white goes 2 squares, how to address this duo? You can first capture, insert a check, and in the end, play d5, and this fork will influence the duo. Okay, also, if white is for some reason excited about launching the b pawn at this moment, giving the bishop a kick, as well as the knight, in order to undermine the support of e5, this would not be a good path for white. You can carry on as black with development, addressing the threat on f7, and now you just naturally carry 2 threats in this position to win the material back, as well as give the knight a nudge from its defense of the bishop. And if white is playing a very awkward move like bishop d3, the position is already considered lost there. d5 opening up the position further while these queenside pieces remain on home base. Pawn takes, pin, queen recapturing on d5, both winning. My point, this caveman approach at this very early stage is not a good idea. We have instead a baby step, d3, a5, holding up b4 at this point, and some room for the bishop. Castles, d6, rook e1, same side's castles game. Knights connected, bishop e6, some pressure on the knight, doesn't budge just yet. We have first bishop a7. Black gets out of the way of this central expansion with tempo, and only after the bishop is on a7 does the knight next drift towards the kingside, where it will watch over black's strongest pawn e5 from a more stable square. Now I wondered if it was necessary to go with this move order, bishop and then knight. You could go with the knight straight away with an eye on a tactic. Let me show you what this tactic is. In the case of d4, you can sit on this tempo, fall back straight away, and say that e5 is indirectly defended because there would be a problem on f2. As soon as there's that capture, bishop's eyes open up to this sensitive point, and it could be targeted now with knight g4. 2 points coming under fire, f2 and e5, and after white runs in reverse, rook f1 here, there's knight captures e5, getting that material back. Okay, how black ends up playing it. He goes back to a7 here, and only then drifts towards the kingside, e5 defended directly. Knight g3, c6. From here, bishop goes back home. After bishop f1, bishop g4 is played. There's a pin present there. Now, I wondered, could white maybe have played bishop e2, anticipating this somewhat irritating pin? There's a downside connected with bishop to e2. The rook's eyes are masked, doesn't see e4 directly, and this would be a window for black to strike in the center with d5, meeting d takes e with knight takes e, and e takes d with queen takes d. A point with this line, if white takes on e5, you're not taking on e5, you would be losing a piece in the end, queen not a reliable defender of e5. But in this position, like one I shared just moments ago, as soon as that pawn moves, yep, yet again, there is this knight g4 resource. This rook, as soon as it occupies that e-file, f2, a bit more sensitive. Black will be getting this material back shortly. Okay, how it's playing out here. In response to c6, back home for the bishop. Bishop g4, now ready to remove effectively two defenders of d4, this point coming under fire, so more support needed, and in this game, more development. Bishop e3. Okay, rook's eyes do not see e4. Black responds in the following way. Initiates the exchange on d4 and immediately challenges this duo with d5. e5, knight e8. Clock update here. Players begin with an hour 30 minutes, 30-second increment throughout. Aronian has an hour 10 minutes remaining. Erigaisi has an hour 31 minutes remaining. He has banked time. He has yet to blink. Better prepared side for this one. Aronian continues with bishop e2. Breaks the pin on the knight. Here's how the computer wants to play it. It says, question the bishop. Now, if h3 is played, it is important to trade bishop for knight here. We'll see what that looks like soon enough. If you preserve this light square bishop by going to e6, there's knight g5. Let's say you go to d7. You are missing your opportunity as black to challenge this invasive pawn. It likes bishop d3 here, and now if you're playing f6, your kingside is going to get destroyed. White can quickly key in on those light square weaknesses. Okay, it would be important in the case of h3 to trade bishop for knight and then play f6. From here it is looking at queen h5. This line here where white has a passed pawn, it says no big deal. You can live with this. A move it has in mind, knight d6 straight away, or even f5. I found this one interesting. Knight f5 with knight d6. One line it is calling for here is to, in fact, grab that pawn, allow knight h4 fork, and play a position without the queen. It calls this equal. Okay. The other path with this line after f6, computer effectively saying, do not be so quick to concede this e5 pawn. It is doing a very good job taming the knight, and the queen watches over this point. From here, it wants to play the following structure, an interesting one. 4-3 majority for white on the king side, same story for black on the queen's wing. From here, it has its eye on queen h4, calls it around equal. Okay, how it is playing out in this one, we have bishop to e2. If bishop to d3 in this position, one quick note, it's calling for f5. No time for bishop captures knight here, and this move also carries a very serious threat. All right, in this game, the pin on the knight, broken. f6, pawn takes pawn, and from here the knight recaptures. You could go in a different way, queen recapture, and go to d6 with the knight. That's a healthy arrangement. All right, black goes with the knight. Queen b3. From here, bishop captures knight is played, and only after the knight is removed is queen d7 played to watch over b7. If queen d7 here, knight e5 is strong, disrupts the queen's post. Okay, the knight is removed. This is the bad bishop, active, bad bishop being removed for the knight. And in a way, this helps out one of black's worst pieces. This knight on g6 now has a very interesting jump. No king knight watching over h4. This is not long off from being one of the best pieces in the game. Knight on h4, staring at g2, f3. Start to think about some tactics there on the f3 square. Okay, only after the knight is removed do we have queen d7 stable? In this case, black structurally superior. White has this isolated pawn. Has to constantly be watched over now by a piece. No king knight. That might be one of the more convenient pieces to watch over that point. Okay, not around anymore. From here, rook a to d1, h6. All right, once the knight is on h4, there isn't going to be a way to influence it. Bishop e2, rook a to e8, bishop d3, knight h4, f3, and knight h7. Really like how black is playing this. Pieces are all really wonderful. Knight from this point eyeing g5. And we're really close to having some sacrifice occur on that f3 square. 3 points, 3 pieces on it. All right, from here, we have bishop b1 looking forward to a battery, knight g5, and from here, queen c2 is played. Now, one of the top moves here, the computer is pointing out f4. In this position, it says that you can drop the knight into h3 here. Pawn takes, queen takes. It says that these are going to be a problem for white. Evaluation is reading minus 0.5. Looking at queen c2 and some rook lift there, being okay with a check. You can just play, if I could draw an arrow, you could just play to f7 there. Okay, there's some wild tactics nearby for sure with these knights. Rook, queen, really everything is just coiled up, ready to pounce. In this game, no f4. We have a battery. And black's response is g6, the human move. This is considered second best. At the top, it says go in for this ridiculous sequence. Knight g takes f3, followed by, not knight takes f3, it says take with the rook. Allow this check and be okay sticking your king's head out like this. With some ridiculous line, bishop f5, knight takes, rook f1. Okay. Black playing the more human move here. Let's just cut out any queen h7 idea. Knight, good job in the forward. Got a defensive role as well. Wonderful piece. King h1, out of any knight checks, queen f7, queen f2, bishop on a new diagonal. Knight f1, position remains around equal here. Okay, weakness behind this last move. Knight has a new square, knight under fire in this position, so hops to f5, bishop d2, attack, defense, knight e3, knight exchange, king g7, healthy, king improvement, queen f1. Pop quiz here. How would you continue? Pause the video if you'd like. Okay, the computer does not like this move. This is considered a blunder. It is looking at some battery forming on the E file. All right, queen f1. There's an error here that black does not capitalize on. A little update here with the clocks. Queen f1, move 33. Aronian has 18 minutes remaining. Erigaisi has about 20. All right. In the game, we have rook e6. The tactic that was missed here is not rook captures bishop. If you play rook captures bishop with the following idea, queen f4, there are a couple paths out of this. One is to insert a check. Rook block, could exchange rooks and then play g3. Or there's even queen g1 in this position, considered second best, holding on to h2 and e3. The winning tactic in this position after queen f1 is with bishop captures h2. And now what? If king captures bishop, now you would go in for rook captures bishop and then follow with this fork. And in the end, you are winning. You've won a pawn there. Okay, there's another line to consider, and this is the tricky one. In response to bishop captures h2, what are we doing in the case of bishop captures knight? You would have to spot this move. Save the bishop. Bishop g3 it's calling for here. If you simply capture the bishop, king takes bishop, white is winning. Bishop g3 is winning. And now what do you do as white with this bishop? If you want to save it, let's say go to d2 here. Ouch. That's going to hurt. Another quiet but deadly move. Setting up queen h4 to h2. There is not a solve here. Black completely winning. Okay, a missed opportunity with bishop captures h2 here. What we have, rook e6, bishop g1. It's leaning towards bishop d2 here instead. Okay, white anticipating any pressure, mounting on that h2 point. Watches over it here. Doubled up. Pair of rooks come off. a3, h5, nearby for black. There is maybe this idea to undermine the support on f3. Follow up is queen f2, watching over this h4 advance. I was a little curious about this move here, giving the knight a kick. That would not be a good idea. The knight does not have to move. There'd be a nice tactic here. You have queen f4 in this position, pawn takes, and it's going to be a mate in just a couple. Also, if white tries to hold on to this h4 square, there's rook e2 here. Queen takes, and you got the mate in 2. All right, my point, this h4 idea, no good. We have queen f2, queen f4. From here, white plays rook e1. Computer does not like this. Says better is bishop to d3. And if black is going for, let's say, this h4, h3 idea, saying crawl up into a ball, play rook to f1, watching over this point, be prepared to meet h3 with g3. Evaluation here reading around -1. Black pieces very aggressively posted. All right. In this game, there is a big blunder here with rook to e1. Final pop quiz. What is your move here? Pause the video if you'd like. Okay, a star finish to this one. Move that knocks out Aronian from this World Cup. One that you will eventually see in a tactics book. We have final move here. Move 38, knight h3, and Aronian resigns. What's going on here? Well, first of all, in the case of rook captures rook, it's a mate in 2. Queen falls with check, queen h2, mate. And if, let's say, the queen moves in this position, you can take the bishop, threatening mate in 1. If king captures knight, there's a mate in 2, check, and then checkmate. And if the queen captures the knight, the queen is overloaded. 2 jobs. You take the rook here and you're up a rook. It'll be mate next no matter what. The idea, queen captures h2 there. Finally, what is the story? First question that really comes to mind here. What happens if you just take the knight? Well, this is what happens. The queen now has this responsibility, as well as this one, and you take the rook and you're up the exchange. You can't take the rook back because queen takes f3 is checkmate, a very pretty checkmate here. You only need the strength of a bishop, but the queen here doing the job. Very nice finishing touch, this one, but really the build-up to get to this point in the game, I really liked how Erigaisi played this one. Your thoughts with this one, feel free as usual to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it. and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.